officially 2024, and we are coming in strong this year, and we're going to maintain it throughout the year. So come on in, come sit with us, get some information as we talk about the most frequently asked questions of 2023. And I'm pretty sure at least one or two or three or four of these questions you've either asked yourself or have answered or wanted to get answered along the way. So join us and make sure, since you're here, that you go ahead and follow us here on our YouTube channel so you can get alerts on part two, because this will be a two-part video, and get more information about what we're doing here over at the NOSA group. And definitely feel free to jump in and be a part of our office hours as well. So let's get started. So essentially what we did here was we put together a presentation of the frequently asked questions that we have throughout our social media. So it's just not our Facebook group, and compiled some quick answers for you guys. If you have different experiences or you want to share your experience, feel free to go ahead and drop it in the comments. Otherwise, all of this is my take on it, and I'll definitely reference some tools and resources for you guys along the way. And if you're really interested in getting something to put your hands on, feel free to check out our free special we're running in January, where we're giving away a 30-minute consultation for free. So let's dive into these questions and get some answers. So this is definitely the most frequently asked question. I want to say this is the question that we see every year, year over year, and that's how do you get started? And I hit on three key things when I talk about getting started, just because without these things, you actually kind of walk with blinders on. You walk blindly. So getting these things taken care of first is usually simple. Sometimes it can be complicated. Many times they may ask or require you to make a couple of extra steps, but you want to create a business plan. And you don't have to go out there and pay somebody for a business plan. Please don't. You can go on Google, go online, you can go on Fiverr, you can go to your local store if you're an in-person kind of individual, but create a plan just like you would any other area of your business. You don't want to jump into this, spend a lot of money, and then feel like you wasted your time. So put together a good plan. You want to make sure you get a business license. Of course, in some states, they may also require that you have a nursing pool, healthcare, medical staffing types of license, and we indicate that on our website, those states that have those special indications. But be mindful that a lot of staffing regulations are happening over the last couple of years, so things may be changing in real time, but will definitely help point you in the right direction. And then, of course, you want to set goals for yourself. And these are things that you can include inside of your business plan, but I encourage them to be a balance of personal and professional goals so that you can start to see progress along the way in your business and getting started. Our next question, how much does it cost? And this question is key because you want to include this as a part of your business plan, but you also want to be thinking about, hey, how much money, my money, investors' money, other people's money that I potentially might be spending in this business. So how much does it cost to start a NOSA or a nurse-owned staffing agency really does vary. So what we try to focus on is the payroll costs. So some of the initial costs that you may have in getting started, maybe a commercial space if your state requires it. You might also want to consider your operational costs. So those are those initial costs around insurance, business insurance, setting up computer programs and platforms for your business to run and communicate with potential clients and employees. And then the biggest expense we found in that getting started process is the payroll. So in our industry, sometimes things are really, really slow, and then sometimes things are really, really busy. So to keep up with your payroll, you want to make sure that you have in place enough payroll or budgeted payroll to cover your employees to ensure that they're paid. So we've estimated about 3 times your budgeted payroll or 3 times the salary of the number of individuals that you have working. So if you have 4 people working 40 hours a week, times that is what you need to have in an account, and that can vary from $25,000 to $100,000. So there's not a set amount, but it is mostly based on the number of employees that you'll have working for you. And a nice thing about the number of employees when you're doing your business plan, you can guess. I encourage people to be conservative about the number of employees. So it might be like 3 or 5 in the beginning. It may even be as much as 10. But whatever that number is, that's what you want to use moving forward and be mindful of as you go through the process. So, how do you find out what needs that your specific business in the state that you're in may have? So some ways that you can go about finding out those needs is starting with your Secretary of State, your Chamber of Commerce. Those are all places that'll talk you or walk you through the process of getting your license, creating a business name, setting up taxes, as well as inform you if there's any special requirements in your state. So you can go to your state's website and find out this information, but make sure that you're going to your state's website. And many times, if your state doesn't have specific requirements, they may not have specific requirements. But just to be sure, I encourage people to talk to a couple of different people. Like I mentioned, we'll drop the link here for our resource page and map where you can click on the different places that we know do have special requirements, but just be mindful that can change. So you always want to make sure that you talk to a couple of people before you confirm. And sometimes a great starting point would be also your Department of Health, your Board of Nursing. Those individuals can either point you in the right direction or definitely tell you where to start. So, guys, let us know, has one of the questions we've asked so far been a question that you've had? Drop it in the comment box, give us a heart emoji or a smiley face to let us know that one of the questions you had we've answered already. And next, what are the most important things to add into your contract? And this is a great question because we just talked about this during our office hours on Wednesday, and all of these things are important, right? So, a couple of things that I've included here are you want to have minimum hours. So, whether you have per diem, travel, or permanent staff, you want to make sure that there's any sort of minimum hours or hour guarantees, right? So if you're on a contract, a 40-hour, 36-hour work week guarantee, and then also if they're per diem, any guarantees around, which we'll talk about next, which is cancellation. So you always want to have your cancellation policy. It can go from, hey, if your facility cancels in less than 24 hours, we'll charge X number of hours. If your facility, cancels a contract, X number of hours. So you really want to take out the time to look at every single scenario that possibly can happen. So the advice I gave the nurses that attended our office hours this past Wednesday was start with something. Start with what you know. If you're a nurse, you have an understanding of how the industry works, and have that be the starting point for your contract. Then take it to a legal professional and have them fill in the blanks where you may have missing things. It could be things specific to your state. Like we know the state of California, overtime starts after 8 hours and not 40. So that's definitely something that you want to include. You want to include your bill rate sheet, as well as on that sheet, include overtime bill rates, holiday bill rates, all the different types of bill rates that you'll be billing for your business. So the traditional one are regular holiday overtime, but just be mindful of any other types of bill rates like hazard or something of that nature. Um, some other things you want to include in your contract are you want to talk a little bit about the invoicing process in the contract. So you want to include, hey, invoices will be sent out weekly to your accounting department. You also want to mention the communication ways that you'll be using within your agency. So you want to cover as many things as possible to eliminate any, and guys, I'm so serious, any what ifs. So if it's a what if, put it in the contract. If it's not in the contract, it really does present challenges for enforcement. And as I mentioned before, with some regulations for staffing businesses changing, you want to make sure that your contract is in compliance with that as well. So some things around non-competes in certain states are no longer, you're no longer able to put into contracts. Um, you also want to talk about conversions if you're requiring the facility to pay a fee to convert your employee to theirs. So just think of every scenario and put it in the contract and get it with an employment legal professional who can fill in any areas that may be questionable. Let's keep it going. I think we're here at question number 4. So, question number 4, can my agency hire 1099 workers? This question, I want to say we've answered since 2017. And honestly, the answer has changed quite a bit. So, one of the things that's important with this question is around what is a 1099 and does this particular role qualify for that? And we've seen it, I've experienced it. Nurses in different professions in different states operate in a 1099 capacity with an agency. But I encourage people to understand that just because it's happening doesn't mean there's a problem with it. But I feel like since the pandemic, it's been happening more, which is why we've seen some more regulation around that. So back in, I want to say September, there was a letter sent to the Department of Labor to provide clarification around this exact topic. If we have the link, we'll drop the letter in there for you to read. There hasn't been any sort of final determination on it as of yet, so it's still kind of up in the air. But it is around, can nurse staffing agencies or healthcare staffing agencies have 1099 workers, and whether or not that's legal or it's appropriate, and that the Department of Labor will look at it and put something in place that will cover essentially all agencies in the US. So as I mentioned, some agencies do it. The introduction of a lot of platform style nurse hiring or healthcare staffing hiring or marketplace style hiring or on-demand apps has really changed, what that looks like and what people look for. I'm nobody's legal professional, so I'm just kind of speaking from my experience. But you want to keep in mind that yes, it's happening. I would guess to say that it probably won't continue to happen as we move into 2024. I do think that something will come down from a federal standpoint of view as far as saying, hey, this is what governs being a healthcare staffing business, and this is what you can and you cannot do. So just keep in mind, sometimes it's become a federal situation. When it becomes federal, then it kind of affects all of us. Um, from a business standpoint of view, there can be major implications if you misclassify your employees. So make sure that you're connecting with legal and tax professionals when it comes around doing this type of thing. Just because having them operate as a 1099, they're not paying taxes, you're probably not paying taxes. So things of that nature can definitely open you up for being audited. Some people have experienced it in real time. So I just tell people with this situation, it's one of those, it's far from black and white. It's very gray, probably a little bit blurry. So really think through the process and make sure that you've covered all your bases if you decide to do it. And know that it may be something that'll change in the future. So thank you guys. So if you're here, if you need to take a break, we've gone through the first 5 questions, frequently asked questions of 2023. Thanks for hanging out with us. Definitely go ahead and like the video and then click the alert bell so that you can get updates on our part 2. We'll try to drop both of them at the same time. Make sure to follow us. I hope this answers your questions. We have about 5 or 10 more questions to follow to recap for 2023. So definitely join us again here on our YouTube channel and get more updates about our frequently asked questions, and check out some of our other videos about hot topics happening in healthcare staffing.